And welcome into the locker room. Another edition whereof the BS stops and the analysis starts. As always, we are your hosts. I am Kyle Anderson, and joining me,
John Warchanowski. And that's Brandon Jones. Welcome to the locker room.
Matt Hirsch, you're in the locker room.
I was going to have to maybe call the guys with the nets to come get you, because I don't think... And Reggie Huffman will not be joining us tonight. He basically said that he's taking a sabbatical.
He was kidnapped by Ron Warchanowski.
Actually, I think he's supposed to be going to a UAB football game. So that's who the one person is. All right. So
Wow.
Tonight we're going to talk about a topic that basically has been, heating up the message boards and has been on ESPN, the brand new college football playoff. In case you've been living under a rock, what basically happened, they announced that starting in 2014, there will be no more BCS title game. It will be a 4-team playoff, where they'll have the four teams meet in 2 semifinal games, and then they'll have the championship game. And we're going to go into all this detail tonight. Why? Because there's a lot of questions that still need to be asked, and there's a lot of things that we need to probably talk about to see if this is a good idea or not. So we're going to start it off. I'm going to go to Matt first. He's the fan. He's the one that's got to answer this question for me. Do you like it or do you hate it?
I hate it.
Why do you hate it?
Why do I hate it? I think that it's not going to really accomplish what it set out to do. I think that what was working was fine, and it's really just the media. It's the worldwide leader that has dictated, gotten their grubby little fingers into the sport that we all love and really determined how it's going to go just to maximize their revenue. And I think that's terrible for the sport.
Brandon, what do you think? You like it or hate it?
I like it. I like anything better than what we were currently dealing with. The BCS, you get tired of talking about this team should have played, this team should have played. We have the teams getting beat by 40 in their last game and still getting in. I like it.
We're still going to have it, though. We're still going to have that. We're still going to have, who's in, who's not. We're still going to have, this team beat this team, but not this team. Why is it not in versus, why is Boise State still not in? Well, they're fifth. Sorry, they're fifth. They're not in. We're still going to have that.
But that argument is a lot better trying to determine who's fifth as opposed to who's 1 and 2.
So we're going to take the lesser of two evils.
Damn right.
I think that's terrible.
All right, now here's the question I have. Now we knew with the BCS they had a poll, and it was based off of computer rankings, the Harris poll, the coaches poll, and a couple other things that were thrown in, and it gave you your top 10 or top however many, and you took your top 2. With this new format, Brandon, how's it supposed to work?
I've heard several different things. I've heard that it's going to be a combination between the... I'm not sure if the coaches poll is going to still be in there. That's the biggest debate, whether the coaches poll is still going to be a part of that process. The argument is that a lot of coaches aren't able to watch the teams. So it's still going to be part computer, part polls, and then this committee. Now, the thing that you have with the committee, the same problem you have with the coaches poll. Who's going to be unbiased? Who's really going to watch each and every ball game? So I think those are some conflicts that they have right now that they're still trying to iron out.
Do you think that they should use the poll system like they had in the BCS and just say, here's your top 4, or do you like the new way they're going to do it, Matt?
I don't see where it's really any different, to be honest, because the polls figured together and averaged together with the computer rankings is the same thing as a selection committee. That's what I've heard, is they're going to have a selection committee very similar to the way the NCAA does the basketball tournament. Well, you're still going to have the same problem. I remember being an Alabama fan, complaining a few years ago that Alabama wasn't in the top 68 teams in basketball. Well, you're going to have a selection committee, and you're going to have people complaining, well, my team wasn't in the top 4, and I think it should have been in the top 4. So,
and I think that's probably the big question. Are we going to start going that way now, where before long we'll start adding more teams? But now the big question is, before we knew where the national championship was going to be, now it goes to the highest bidder.
See, my problem with it is, when is it going to be enough? Are they going to add teams? Absolutely, they're going to add teams, because nobody's ever going to be happy. I think that changing it, however you want to change it, nobody's ever going to be happy. When the BCS started back in 1998,
it's the best thing ever.
It was,
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that we're showing now here in 2012, well, people still weren't happy. In 2022, people still won't be happy. I guarantee it. 2032, people will still not be happy with the way the system is because they're going to feel their team's getting jilted somehow.
And I think that's the question right now that I want to ask you guys. I mean, we all know that there's no perfect system. There's never going to be a perfect system. What I want to know is, do you guys think the current system, the way it is now, is even close to being fair? What is your definition of fair, Brandon?
Man, when you talk about fair is what you talk about when you have little kids playing soccer. Now, do I think it's fair? It depends on what year you asking me. Because there have been years that we've had the BCS, and they've got it right. I mean, they've gotten it perfect.
They've gotten it right most of the years. In fact, I'm willing to say they got it right every year.
I wouldn't so far. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say that they got it right every year, because there are some years where they just completely muddled it up. I mean, it was bad. But some years, yeah, they pretty much got it right. The thing with the BCS, it was designed to get number 1, number 2. The problem that we had is usually we either had a problem with who was number 2, and sometimes we even had the problem who was 1 and 2. So that was a problem that we had, and I think that
we're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a problem with who's 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Well, at least is this. If I have a problem with who's 1 and 2, at least you still gotta earn your way into the championship game. You gotta earn your way into the championship game, and that's the biggest difference.
The way the computer rankings worked with strength of schedule and things like that, you still had to earn your way into the championship game with the BCS.
Nebraska got the hell beat out of them by Colorado one year, and didn't even go to the Big 12 championship game. That ain't earning your way in.
It didn't matter. Miami was the best team in the nation that year.
It
was obvious. Who would have played a better game versus Miami that year?
It would have been somebody better than Nebraska.
Nobody was better than Nebraska that year to go up against Miami.
And I understand that. Anybody who would have played Miami that year would have got an ass whipping. We here on that one. But Nebraska shouldn't have gotten the championship game.
What was it, because of the fact that they didn't win their conference that they shouldn't have been there? Or
if you go back to that season, that 2001 season, Nebraska should have got beaten by Kansas State. Okay, Nebraska got drugged by Colorado. I mean, them and Colorado weren't even the same team. You could see that Nebraska, by luck, dodged a lot of people. They got the easy way in. They got a couple of wins, but when it came down, the rubber hit the road. You finally play some ballers. They got the hell beat out of them.
But with this new system, isn't that still going to be the same problem? Because before you had to be the top 2. Now it's I just got to be the top 4. So you may have teams go, hey, I'll take the easier route just so I can get into the top 4. And not worry about it, and I'll turn it on.
And we'd have still probably had Miami and Nebraska. We would have still probably had Miami and Nebraska.
I would say you probably had Miami and Oregon or Colorado. I don't think Nebraska would have been there.
Well, the thing about that is that's in the past. And there's a lot of people that will say, should conference champions get in, should not. Now, with this new format, they're not putting that in. They're not saying that. But there are a lot of people that are saying what they don't like is they don't like the committee saying you have final choice on who you pick. I think a lot of people are like, they feel that you can fudge it a little bit. Notre Dame could get in there, and a lot of people hate Notre Dame. They may say they're not good enough. The thing is, does this make more sense? Because now it's, yes, we have a mini playoff, but you're still going to have people going, I deserve to be in there, and I'm not. So it doesn't really quench that argument.
After the years of talking about this, and we're going back to 2004.
Right.
If you ain't in the top 4, I don't want to hear it. We've been talking about this, 7 years going into this? 8 years going into this year? I don't want to hear it if you ain't in the top 4.
See, I still don't necessarily agree with that, because I think that even last year, you go back to this most recent year, I disagreed with who the third, fourth, and I guess fifth teams in the nation were. So who ended up 3, 4, and 5 last year, Brandon?
It was Oklahoma State was number 3.
Okay.
Stanford was number 4.
And
Oregon. No, Wisconsin was number 5.
Okay.
So after the fallout or before
I don't think it matters, because I personally think, and of course I'm going to admit I'm a biased opinion, I think Arkansas was the 3rd best team in the nation, because the only 2 losses they had were to 1 and 2, but they ended up being 6th, 7th.
Yeah, they were just...
So I still am making an argument for who should have been number 3, and they were outside of the top 4.
And I think that right there is the argument that a lot of fans don't like, is because if it was a situation where Arkansas, Alabama, LSU were 3 out of the 4 best teams, is this committee going to go, okay, here's your 3 out of the 4 best teams, or is this set up a way to go, we're trying to make sure the SEC doesn't dominate as much as they used to. We're trying to prevent that from happening. So one SEC team will get in.
I think it's without a doubt a way for other conferences, especially you see Jim Delaney being kind of at the forefront of this, trying to pull the reins back on conferences like the SEC and even the Pac-12. The Pac-12 has been dominant over the course of the past year or two. And, those 2 conferences are kind of leaving everybody else in the dust. And so this is commissioners like Jim Delaney and Chuck Ninus, who's the interim in the Big 12, to try to pull those reins back.
But isn't that kind of like what they say, cutting your nose off despite your face? Because
I think that we're wise enough to realize that.
The Big Ten will be back. Urban Meyer is going to put some pressure on those guys. Him and Brady Hoke are going to put some pressure on those guys. The Big Ten is going to be back. So you're going to have that year where you possibly have Ohio State, a Michigan, a Iowa, a Michigan State. They're going to be all right there in the mix, and you're going to cut your nose off in spite of your face because of something that happened years prior. I think that commissioners have to be mindful of that.
At the end of the day, we all know this is a new format, and they're going to tweak it. They're going to do different things. A lot of people have asked, do conference champions, do you take just conference champions, or do you take the 4 best teams?
I think you take the 4 best teams, and let me tell you why. Let's go back. Let's go back to 2007. You remember Georgia? The way Georgia finished 2007? Georgia didn't even go to the SEC championship game.
Yeah, they were the best team in the country.
Who wanted to see Georgia? We had that +4. Georgia, no doubt in my mind, is the national champion that year. Where LSU won it, they beat Ohio State. LSU didn't want to see Georgia.
They shut down the best quarterback to statistically ever play the game.
Yeah, Georgia was sick.
And the funny thing about it, a lot of our fans agree. Will Vincent, David Croswell, Brent Davenport, Pete Akua, Robert McDavid V, Jared Franklin, they all agree that they like the 4 best teams, but they feel like if they start going that route of just the conference champions, you're going to start have people go, not worry about it, I don't care. The question I have for you guys, and we're going to cover this even in more detail on our next segment, is how does it compare with some of the other formats they're doing now? We hear a lot of people say that, well, it's the only sport they don't have a playoff in. But college football also is the most revenue-driven sport and also the most popular of all college sports. Is there a correlation? We're going to let that simmer with everybody for a little bit because that's something I want Brandon, Matt, and myself really to think about, because when we drop this knowledge on you, it's going to be pretty good. Make sure you come back for segment 2 of the college football playoff. And as we go out, we're also going to have a playoff on who's going to go pick up Reggie from jail. I don't know who's going to do that.
It ain't going to be me.
It ain't going to be me. I don't have bail.
I like that Robert McDavid. I like that.